Good few weeks ago now I showed you guys some great locations to build your base in Grounded 2. Now you've got used to the game though, what about a forever home or something a bit more unusual? That's what we're going to be showing off today. Some of these locations are going to require a bit of work, but there's also been some updates that make them a lot easier to build in and get access to. Starting off with this one, the Billy Dog Cart. Previously when Grounded first came out you couldn't actually build on top of the Billy Dog Cart, you had to go ahead and make a connecting piece all the way from the ground, which honestly kind of sucked. Add to that, there was no easy way to really get up here. It would have taken a lot more building pieces to make some sort of bridge or stairway. But we can reduce that by a hell of a lot by following these steps. 1. Head back to the onboarding center. It's now open and you'll be able to go all the way back up to the top where you first woke up. This was one of the latest or last updates that changed this. Make sure you bring enough materials to make pretty much the berry chair is going to be your best thing. Also a couple of clay foundations to get you started on building a half stairway up to the very top. Sadly the pneumatic tubes won't allow you to take up weed stems or grass planks, but don't worry, there's going to be a way we can get them up there. Now when the onboarding center wasn't open, I was doing the opposite. I was building up from the ground up to this point so I could break in by using the chair method to pretty much go and glitch through the glass. And it still works. In fact, this is also another unusual place that you could potentially build your base, as there are spots inside the actual onboarding center where you can place stuff. Almost anywhere connected to the circles where you find the dentist chairs, they can be built on. So it wouldn't be too hard to put a foundation piece sunk into the ground and then maybe do a lot more, like I've shown off in my first base build location, where you guys also were building in the first ranger outpost that you found, as it was easy to go ahead and put a foundation in. It's not ideal because it really doesn't give that much space, but with a bit of work, coating the floor with some foundation pieces or floor pieces, it definitely could be something you could make for one of the most unusual bases and definitely high up ones. I'll leave it for you to check out see if there's any more locations you can build inside this center, but the one we really want is by the glass. So as said, you can place different build pieces. I'm using foundations here, it's the easiest to carry up. Once you've got 4 blocks, go ahead and get yourself the berry chair. I am doing this in creative, but obviously this will work in normal mode too. And then just try and get the berry chair on the other side of the glass, as close to the glass as possible. In fact, if you have the back end of it really facing your character as you try and do this the most, that's the easiest way. You then simply sit in the chair and you're outside. Now you can do the opposite as well and put another berry chair on the inside of the onboarding center, and that way you can get in and out if you really wanted to. But this is such a saving in terms of building resources to make a stairway or big ramps to get to the very top of the hot dog stand. And if you're a bit of a completionist and you wanted to go and check out these places for yourself, then now you can go and kill the rest of the cockroaches and get this hot dog. There's nothing really else here, there's no milk molars or really any raw science. And you can't actually build on some of these locations. So your stairway up or down will have to carry on from the foundations you just placed. But for a bit of work, if you really wanted to, you could certainly make these shelving areas where the cockroaches run around and next to it as a part of your base if you didn't want to go so high. No need to build any more big huge ramps upstairs unless you do want to build things out of stems that you'll need. And of course you can call your buggy, that's the big tip. Grab your ant buggy, make sure it's loaded up with planks. You sadly can't bring your buggy into the onboarding center, but once you're up top you can call him and there you go, you'll find your planks, although some of them do seem to have dropped off, so be careful, make sure there's plenty of space when you do go ahead and call your buggy to come here. That should work the same with weed stems, and it's a really slow process, but yeah, absolutely, if you wanted to bring some of the materials here, that's the best way to do it. And yeah, go ahead and connect all of these places depending on what you want to achieve. Put a massive staircase up to the next levels. Or the classic, use some of the clover roof ramps, as that's probably the easiest way, especially if you're going to do a couple trips of weed stems, as you only need 1 weed stem and a bunch of clover to go ahead and build these. Once you get to the top, you can go ahead and make yourself a bridge, but like I said, it's now available to build anywhere pretty much on top of the Billy Dog Cart. It doesn't actually have to be connected to anything from down below. As you can see, I can place any of the normal crafting stations or any other decorations here directly on top without any connecting pieces, and that is different from what it was when it first launched. You can even go ahead and build on the top as well, although there is a ramp that connects to these little pieces on either side if you did want to build even further up here. I gotta say, I'm not a huge fan of this location because the sign does block off your view quite a bit. But for whatever reason, if you're doing a mega build and you really are going to be grinding for all them resources, then maybe it suits you to be looking out on the road and the rest of the buildings. I did this video actually live, going around and testing all this stuff. So yeah, you can go and build something much better than me. This was more just for the visuals. So one that's going to be a bit more complicated to get to, but you can now build on top of Axel's terrarium. Maybe you've always been able to, but I don't remember really seeing anyone do this. What I love about this place is it's not too crazy high if you do want to build up here, and you've got the glass floor, which I think is just really cool. What's interesting is that you can actually meld some of the foundation pieces into the glass so that you could potentially build some sort of form of a floating base. I'll explain that in a minute, but yes, to get on top of the terrarium, you probably are going to need to build yourself a little ramp to at least this point. You can indeed build inside the terrarium, but you will have mosquitoes occasionally spawn inside there. So what do I mean by a floating base? Well, you can actually connect the foundations or more build pieces from the top downwards, and then simply have a bridge connecting to the orange lid, which has got a small gap that you should be able to crouch in. Admittedly, this one's a bit more of a pain in the arse and definitely going to take a bit more work to do. But as unusual bases go, I can't think of anything more unusual than having a hanging base from the terrarium ceiling. Pretty good as a location to avoid any future orc attacks too. Now I won't prattle on too much more about some of these other places, but yes, you can build on top of the lectern or the podium where Wendell was giving his speech. If you line it up perfectly, I like the idea of making a massive barn. I'd actually use the bottom half maybe for storage and just put in my crafting stuff. Once you take care of the orc creatures that are here, they won't spawn back, so it's relatively safe again on this. Just it is on a bit of a slope, which may be a bit off-putting for some, but you can go ahead and place a bunch of crafting stations all on here, even if it is on a slope. And you should be able to go ahead and bring planks up to the top here, or any weed stems, without having to rely on just calling your pet trick, as it is doable with parkour, just as long as you obviously get good at going through the little gap. This is probably one of the best locations given the proximity to the garden, but also close enough that we can still see things like the ice cream carts, go and get more chocolate chips. And yeah, really good location for still doing things in this part of the map and going to the next part, the gardens. Again, still a bit of a butthole though to climb up once you've gone down, so that's something to bear in mind. Bring on the zip lines hopefully next year, make some of these places even more actually achievable. So next, big up to Cartoon who actually showed me this was doable. You can now build in the top part of Burgle's arena, where in case you haven't actually played the game to the very end, you may encounter some sort of boss. And if you want Sloane's little apartment here, well, that's what it's meant to be, her office, then yeah, you can have it. And it actually leads all the way out to Burgle, where you can build on top of Burgle's statue now. There are still some places that you can't build in here, but for sure, having a cool little base like this, if you're not into building, but you just like the idea of having this as your backdrop, I think this is amazing. Got an easy way down with tufts, and you can get back up by just going through, obviously, all of the shortcuts that you can open up to the Burgle laboratory once more. Sadly, you can't build anything down here though, with the carpeted area. But you can even go and place stuff in the arena. How about having a scorpion bed right in the middle? Last thing to note, you can't build on the outside edges, but you could connect a floor piece to them, and that would make life a bit easier if you really wanted to do something like cover up the whole floor. But otherwise, you're perfectly okay to place anything you want inside the actual office area bit. So big shout out to Cartoon. This is actually his base, and he's the guy that gave me the inspiration to think, you know what, let's make the base build video where we take a look at unusual places or illegal places. Some pretty cool stuff as you can see, and yep, you can build all over the top of Burgle's statue. Sadly, not on top of Wendell himself or his hand. You will have to build connecting pieces up here if you want to do something. And weirdly, you still can't build anywhere on the base of where the statue is, but you can build on Burgle's treads. So yeah, another kind of weird one, but hey, you could go ahead and make a base up here by just putting a floor down once you measured some stairs downwards. I do hope the devs bear this in mind. It was something everyone wanted to see in Grounded 1, some sort of toggle or button maybe given to us as a reward for completing the game that you can build absolutely anywhere. Of course, Grounded 2 might have its reasons. Obviously, new areas can be added, they may change and mix up with not baddies or any other kind of weird things happen on certain places. But even a warning popping up, I think someone suggests that in Discord, that it could say, hey, this place might not be suitable for building, so at your own risk, or make it that toggle. And then finishing off with some places that you could build, but honestly, I can't see why you would really want to at the moment. You can go ahead, and it's in the bounds area of the game, if you build something giant like a rampway on top of the gate stones. At the moment, obviously they've got pumpkins on them, but once the Halloween event, I'm sure there won't be much else on these. But there is an invisible wall that will stop you from building, as obviously it's the edge of the world as well. I personally think the view from here is not that great. It would take a ton of resources to get up here in the first place. Maybe something to consider by the time we get the actual playground added to the game and the rest of the areas. But for now, I still feel like this is just a bit of a waste. Disappointingly, you can't build on top of the ice cream cart. Might not seem that great with the kind of mist that you've got here, but it could make for some spooky builds. It's basically a tint that goes over your character screen, and 2, there's just nowhere to actually place anything. When testing this, always actually use the grass roof pieces, as they do connect sometimes better than some of the foundations. But even when using the grass floors, they just weren't catching onto anything all around here, which was a shame, as I had a vision of building a base right on top of the massive tyre. Still no way to go ahead and build on top of the lanterns in the park. Again, a bit of a pain in the arse to build something up here, but could have been cool for sure for a mini tower base, especially with the light shining through. And if you're a complete madman, this kind of works, but I don't think it's necessarily a good idea. You can build in Axel's arena. Now this has been a bit known actually since the very first test of the arena being added. You can even build a bridge all the way across the spiderwebs if you really wanted to, although it won't allow you to connect to the outside. And if you really want to come up with some ingenious design to go ahead and cheese Axel by just firing loads of arrows, or maybe even putting some turrets down, then that is something you could potentially do. You know what, that's got to be a unique video, right? Turrets only against Axel? I'm pretty sure this will get patched in the very near future. I mean, it would be kind of crazy to be able to build and live in the branches above maybe. I wouldn't want to risk building a giant base in here just in case Axel did go ahead and trash it. So there we go. Let me know of any other illegal spots that you are thinking of building a base. Have you found somewhere that should be really cool to build? Come share your base builds, whether they're illegal, normal or whatever, in my Discord, and look out for the special event we're doing for charity soon, where anyone with a building competition in their sites can come and win by entering. We've got details of that going live very soon, so keep your eyes on my channel and come join the community Discord. Both of the links for the Discords will be in the comment section, and I'll see you ratbags later.